Oh, hey, I didn't hear you come in.
I guess we're going to talk about abortion and early stage abortion.
Yeah.
There's a video I wanted to share with all of you. It's on James Franco's YouTube channel called Philosophy Time. I'll put the link in the description. It's about early stage abortion, so a really serious topic that actually turned out to be a hilarious video. Now, if you don't know, James Franco is a smart guy. He's well educated, and even after he found success in acting in movies like the original Spider-Man, he went on to get a couple degrees, so he's pretty well educated. So he's got this professor from Princeton, Liz Harmon is her name, and let's just say this, if she's representative of Princeton academia, then they're in some trouble.
In some of my work, I defend a liberal position about early abortion. So I defend the view that there's nothing morally bad about early abortion. So a lot of people think, well, it's permissible to have an abortion, but something bad happens when the fetus dies. And I think if a fetus hasn't ever been conscious, it hasn't ever had any experiences, and we abort it at that stage, that actually nothing morally bad happens. She
essentially says that fetuses only have a moral status if they have a future. So the entirety of a baby's morality, I guess, is dependent on whether or not they have a future, which doesn't make any sense, obviously.
James, when you were an early fetus, and Elliot, when you were an early fetus, all of us, I think that we already did have moral status then, but we had moral status in virtue of our futures, in virtue of the fact that we were the beginning stages of persons. But some early fetuses will die early in pregnancy, either due to abortion or miscarriage, and in my view, that's a very different kind of entity. That's something that doesn't have a future as a person, and it doesn't have moral status.
So if you decide to have an abortion, since you have decided that the fetus will no longer have a future, therefore it morally has no value and doesn't have a future. I think this is the logic she's trying to present. It doesn't really make sense. Even Franco, as kind and friendly as he is, has trouble understanding this logic, and it's written completely all over his face here.
And if we know that a woman is planning to get an abortion, and we know that abortion is available to her, then we know that that fetus is going to die, that it's not a kind of thing like the fetuses that became us. It's not something with moral status, on my view. Often we have reason to believe that a fetus is the beginning stage of a person. So if we know that a woman is planning to continue her pregnancy, then we have good reason to think that her fetus is something with moral status, something with this future as a person.
So what you're saying is, if the fetus is never destined to become a person, it doesn't have moral status. If a woman decides to have an abortion with an early fetus, just that act or that intention negates the moral status of that early fetus. Just because if she goes out and has an abortion, she's pretty certain that it's not going to become a person.
Right. So it might look like, on my view, abortion is permissible because you had the abortion.
Yeah.
But that abortion wouldn't have been permissible if you didn't have the abortion. Because you had the abortion.
Yeah.
But that abortion wouldn't have been permissible if you didn't have the abortion. Status, but then by aborting we take it away. And I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I think the right way to look at it is that just given the current state of the fetus, it's not having any experiences, there's nothing about its current state that would make it a member of the moral community. It's derivative of its future that it gets to have moral status. So it's really that the future endows moral status on it. And if we allow it to have this future, then we're allowing it to be the kind of thing that now would have moral status. So in aborting it, I don't think you're depriving it of something that it independently has.
So Franco says this, and she says it's not the case, but her explanation that she gives after is pretty much the same thing, isn't it? A fetus that doesn't get aborted and doesn't become human or have experiences, therefore only fetuses that live can hold enough moral value to be thought as a human? Is that what she's going for? The video doesn't make much sense to me, and I don't think it did to the other people in it or anybody else watching.
That was great. I think we could talk about this forever, but really, really good. Thank you.